Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a super casual, laid-back Q&A. A lot of you specifically wanted me to do like a wine and conversation type video, but I'm not the biggest fan of wine yet. I'm hoping that that's something I'll kind of grow into, but as a substitution for that, I have this Wild Basin Boozy Sparkling Water. This one is in the Lemon Agave Hibiscus flavor. I don't think I've ever tried these. The packaging is what drew me into these, which is such like a designer thing of me to say, but the packaging is so cute for these, so I wanted to try them. It's not bad. I feel like it tastes like a more mild version of a White Claw. I also like that the flavors are a little bit more unique. I'm definitely starting to get tired of the like traditional seltzer packs, so I feel like this will be a good change for me. Anyways, I asked you guys for questions on Instagram the other night, and you all came through with such good questions. Obviously, I can't go through all of these, but luckily a lot of them had similar themes. So jumping right in, I'm going to start off with a little bit more of a juicy question. And Grace asked, thoughts on YouTubers still doing clothing hauls and shopping videos? To clarify, is it insensitive to those who lost their jobs, or is it a YouTuber's job to do those? And I thought that this was such a good question because this is something that I've been thinking about a lot. And I think it's both, honestly. On one side of it, obviously, I understand that people have contracts in place, and if you agreed to post a haul with a brand and it was already pre-filmed and set up, approved, good to go, like I totally understand needing to post that and wanting to post that. Because that is your job, that's how you get paid, like that makes sense to me. But on the other hand of that, I feel like it's really not ideal to be promoting unnecessary shopping right now. I know I've really tried to cut back any orders online that aren't absolutely essential or aren't things that I really need to be ordering. Obviously there are a couple things that like I had coupons that were going to expire, you know, things like that where it's like slip ups here and there. Not everybody's perfect. And I'm not trying to say that I have had the perfect consumer habits, but I think there's a difference between ordering something online that would be really nice to have in your apartment or, you know, wherever you are for the next couple of weeks, and making a video that's promoting either like fast fashion or Amazon or anything like that, especially companies where workers are on strike because their working conditions aren't safe. I know I've talked about this in the past with my Amazon video, but I have a really hard time filming videos about Amazon because their work conditions are so unethical, and right now they're so less than ideal. And going on past the actual warehouse facilities, every postal service worker, UPS driver, FedEx driver, you know, whatever carrier you're using is putting their lives at risk for your package. So that's something that I've really tried to think about when I'm ordering things online. So I don't really know is the answer. I can only speak to me and my channel. I'm not planning on filming or posting any hauls in the next couple of weeks. Obviously that could change, but I also don't know how long this is going to go on for, and if this carries through to the fall. That is one of my main sources of income, is sponsorships from clothing companies. So that's something that I'm gonna have to consider just to make sure that I'm keeping myself afloat and keeping myself in a comfortable position. So I think it's a really hard thing to balance. I don't think anybody's posting with the intention of accidentally being insensitive. I just think sometimes it's something that either is legally obligated through a contract, or it's just something that people don't think about. And again, I don't think that that's meant to be malicious. It's just, this is such a confusing new territory for all of us, and I think we're all navigating that a little bit different. So I don't know if that answered that question well, but that's kind of like my current thoughts. The next question is, what skills do you think you have improved or acquired since starting working full-time? And I thought that this was a really good question too. I've been thinking about that a lot as I'm, you know, slowly but surely reaching my 1-year anniversary going back full-time at my company. And I think the biggest difference that I've seen is just confidence in my work and what I'm doing. I feel like there were so many small tasks in the beginning of when I first started my job that would take me so long to do, just because I was so nervous about messing them up that I would check them like 18 times to make sure that there weren't any errors. And now I'm just more confident that I know the platforms that I'm using, that I trust myself not to make these careless mistakes. Obviously I'm like always running spell check and, you know, being cautious, I guess, but I'm not as worried about making unintentional errors anymore, I guess, as I was, and I feel a lot more confident in the platforms that we're using and the systems that we've set up, and just kind of navigating the real estate space as a whole. That's something that I really did not know anything about, and I mean, to be honest, I still don't know a ton about, but I'd say when I'm like in meetings with other people on my team, I at least have a good general understanding of what's going on. Obviously, I don't understand the logistics and like the really nitty-gritty strategy behind everything, but I can at least kind of keep up and understand general concepts, which when I first started and when I interned, like conversations for 40 minutes would just go over my head the entire time. So I definitely think the biggest change for me has been my levels of confidence, which is always good. There were seriously so many questions about the Brussels sprouts that I posted on my stories a couple days ago, and that video will be coming live to my channel Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Make sure you're there. This one is fire. I really went way over the top with editing that portion of the vlog, and I think it's really funny. I'm not sure if anybody else will, but I was literally laughing out loud at myself, which, I mean, that's not uncommon for me. I think I'm really funny. I don't want to completely give it away, but the Brussels sprouts were a success, and I'm excited to share what I did differently this time. I also got a lot of questions about if I would ever want to do YouTube full-time, if I could like afford to do so, what the goal was for my channel and my Instagram, you know, like everything kind of under that realm. And I think the answer is no. I would say that I'm actually pretty close to being able to sustain myself full-time on YouTube if I needed to. I'd have to be a lot more careful with my money and just kind of like random spending, but I think that I could honestly afford to do YouTube full-time at this point, but it's not something that I really have an interest in. One, working from home has taught me that I really, really love being in an office and just being around people. Even though there's not other designers in my office, I'm still working with people on our leasing team, our property management team, our construction teams, and just having that like social interaction, or even just like sitting next to someone and looking over and like seeing them is very comforting to me. It also has given me a really structured routine, gets me out of the house. And I can't imagine doing YouTube full time just because I really do love my job, and I feel like that's a big difference between a lot of other YouTubers that quit their jobs, is they didn't really like them, or they were so completely overworked that they just couldn't handle both. And I think eventually I'll get to that point. Like, I would say right now I'm at my absolute capacity in what I can handle and juggle comfortably. I think in an ideal world, in the next like 2 years or so, I'd scale back to working part-time somewhere, like 20-25 hours a week, and then doing freelance and YouTube on the side. I feel like that'd be the best of both worlds for me, because I'd still have that corporate setting and socialization and interaction with other people that I really need, but I'd also have a little bit more time to work on my YouTube channel and other freelance work, because I feel like I can't put 100% of my energy into these videos. I know that if I had another 20 hours a week, I could make really cool graphics and overlays and GIFs and stuff like that. Like, I know my video production could be a lot higher if I had more time, but honestly, I just don't right now. And again, that answer might change in the future, but as of right now, I don't see myself ever doing social media full time. There were actually a lot of questions about boys as well, which I feel like I don't normally get. The first kind of boy related question was city boys or southern boys, which made me laugh so hard because I feel like any of my friends watching 100% know the answer, and that is city boys. Southern is just like not really my lifestyle. I know I went to school in North Carolina, but it wasn't. People say it has a southern feel. I really don't think it does. So for sure, city boys without a doubt. There were also a couple questions like, how is dating post-grad? How is dating in DC specifically? And I would say it's a lot more dating app heavy. I think it probably depends on what school you went to. I went to a really small school. So for me, like if I went on a dating app, I would know almost everybody on it, or at least like have a mutual friend with someone. I never personally used dating apps in college. I know some of my friends did, but I'd say that that's pretty much the only way that I would know how to meet someone new in the city, besides like running into them somewhere or like grocery shopping, I guess, and like bumping into someone and they happen to ask for your number, you know, like things like that. So I'd say that's like the biggest difference post-grad for me. I feel like dating in DC specifically isn't that much different than any other major city. However, I think agreeing on political beliefs is a lot more not important here, because I feel like it's important kind of regardless, but if you're just looking for something casual, I feel like it's not as important if you live in New York or LA or something like that, because it probably wouldn't come up as often if it's just a casual relationship. But in DC, it's just so politically heavy here that if you don't agree with someone, like, it's just gonna be really fucking hard to find something to talk about. Or like, you walk around on the streets and there's ads and there's protests, and like, it's a very vibrant city with that kind of stuff. I feel like most of my dating experiences in DC can be summed up with like matching with someone on Hinge, doing a deep dive on social media, seeing that they're a Trump supporter, and like seeing myself out, you know? So cheers to that. It's just brutal, you know? I don't know, man. I also got a decent amount of questions about the upcoming election. I'm pretty open with my political beliefs, and I feel like they're pretty obvious if you watch my channel, but I'm a registered Democrat, always have been, always will, vote very liberally on things. As far as the upcoming election, I feel like there's not really a point in talking about the other candidates for the nominee just because the decision's been made. I think if you vote third party, that's a vote for Trump, and I know people will say it's not, it's a vote for the third party candidate, but that's what people said in 2016, and that's literally how we ended up with Trump. So for me, I'll be voting for Biden without a doubt, and I really encourage everyone to do the same. Even if you don't love him as a candidate, I think it's very, very clear that he is the better choice. So if nothing else, do your research, be informed. Don't just look at headlines and take them for what they are. Really look into the articles, look at who's writing them, what affiliates they have, what alliances they have, what enemies they have. All of that is really valid. It's so easy to look at a headline and assume that it's true. I know I catch myself doing that, but something that I've really tried to make an effort to do is, before I let it kind of reshape my opinion, is really looking into the article, or, you know, whatever form of media that is, to see who their journalists are. Moving on to some lighter hearted questions. I got a ton of questions about coffee in DC, what my go-to coffee order is, if I'm excited to go back to Zeke's when they reopen. And yes to Zeke's. Zeke's is the love of my life. If you guys don't watch my work week in my life videos, I live, breathe, love Zeke's coffee. They have a location like right downtown, and then they have one on Rhode Island Ave, I think. That's like where their roastery is. I haven't been there, but maybe I'll hike up there at some point. My specific coffee order kind of changes where I go. I'd say a safe bet for me though is an iced coffee or cold brew with a little bit of vanilla, or if I'm ordering a latte or something more craft, I guess, I always get an oat milk base, and then if there's oat milk in it, I don't really care what it is. Like, I like almost everything at this point. We're like growing and learning still, but yeah. Another question was my top 3 coffee shops in DC, and this is honestly so hard. One, I think, just has to be Zeke's because I feel so loyal to them. The second would probably be the coffee shop in the Eaton Hotel. I forget what it's called. It starts with a K. It's right downtown as well. It's so cute. It's such a good work environment. It's really hard to choose a third because there's so many places that I've been like once or twice and just don't have the chance to go back to super often. So I'm gonna say Wind Down as my third, but that's like, I don't know. That's a really hard question for me. My friend Lauren asked, number 1 place you want to travel next. Literally anywhere. I don't care where. I just need to go somewhere when this is all done and safe to leave. I will be on the next flight out. Where? I don't know. I don't care. Just literally anywhere. I'd really love to go to a beach. The last time I went to the beach was last May or April, I want to say, for like a fraternity event at my school. And I had mono, and it was a frat event. So it really wasn't like a nice relaxing experience. It was a lot of fun, but it wasn't like that soothing, calm ocean vibe that I'm craving right now. So I'd love to do that. I also really want to go to Peru. I'd love to go back to London. Really just anywhere. I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to options. I just need to get out of here when it's safe to do so. Someone asked best advice for someone trying to get into graphic design in their mid-20s, and I would say have a really strong portfolio that displays your work. Sites like Wix or Weebly, Squarespace make it super easy to just kind of drag and drop websites so that you're not dealing with the coding, and it just displays all of your best work in one place. Also, most jobs are asking for portfolios at this point, and if they're not, that's something that would be a red flag for me, because I feel like if you're hiring a designer, you need to see their work, not just their resume. So I'd say having a strong portfolio or even like an Instagram account dedicated to your design is a really great place to start. I also got a ton of questions about my apartment, the typical rent in DC, the best neighborhoods to live in DC, if it's as expensive as New York. And I feel like it's really, really hard to answer those questions. I have an entire video about my apartment. I'll leave it in a card up here and like linked down below. I think this goes for most cities. You can find almost anything in your budget as long as you're willing to make compromises. So for me, I live in a very central location in DC. I have a really nice building, and I would say that my rent is on the cheaper end of DC, but I also have 2 roommates where if I paid the same amount that I'm paying now in Arlington and walked 10 minutes to a metro stop, I could afford a studio or maybe even a 1-bedroom on my own. So I think it really depends on like what you're willing to give up in the areas that you're willing to live. For me, I wasn't really willing to live on either the further outskirts of DC or in Virginia or Maryland, so I'm willing to pay a little bit higher of a price to live downtown DC, and to offset that, I have roommates. I feel like a lot of my friends in New York pay the same amount of money in rent as me, but their spaces are a lot smaller, but they're also living in New York, so like for them, that's what they're willing to pay for, is the location of living in New York. It's kind of the same deal with neighborhoods. I think there's pros and cons to so many neighborhoods in DC. If you're thinking of moving here, I would encourage you to do your own research on that. I feel like I can't tell you the best place to live because your lifestyle is going to dictate that so much. If you want a bunch of nightlife within walking distance, or you want to live somewhere quieter, or you want to live by a metro stop or bus stations, like whatever that is, I think dictates where you live. And there's so many options in DC that I can't really tell you what neighborhoods are best. Also, if you want to live in a home versus like a high-rise apartment complex, stuff like that. So I feel like it's so hard to answer that question. I know that's not helpful to hear, and people just want a list of like my top 3 neighborhoods in DC, but I have only lived here for a little under a year. Like, I don't know that yet myself. I think that's something I'll have a better grasp on as I get older or continue to live here. So yeah, I'm sorry. I feel like that's really not helpful or the answer that people wanted, but that's what you're getting. Someone asked, how did your plans change because of COVID-19, work and personal life? How do you feel about that? As far as my 9-to-5 job, working from home has been a big adjustment. If you've seen my work from home videos, we also had a couple of events planned for early summer that are obviously no longer happening. We have some stuff in the fall as well, but I think that's going to end up getting pushed back or postponed as well, just based on the direction that everything's going. As far as YouTube stuff, I've had a lot of brand deals canceled just because marketing budgets are always the first thing to go whenever there's an economic crisis. It's also harder to film work week in my life videos when I'm literally not leaving the apartment. Like, there's only so many new things that I can show. So that's been an adjustment for me, but I wouldn't say it's like devastating. Obviously, losing brand deals really sucks because that's a big part of my income, but hopefully everything will kind of start to even out, and there's some partnerships down the line that I'm hoping still work out. So fingers crossed for that. And then as far as my personal life, I didn't have anything major planned. Like, I didn't have any flights booked or tickets bought for anything. The biggest thing I had planned was probably my 23rd birthday, which really wasn't even anything big. I was just gonna have some friends over to a pregame and then go out. It really wasn't even planned. It was just something I assumed would happen. So luckily I didn't have anything too major in my personal life that I had to cancel. So grateful for that. As you guys can probably tell from the lighting, the sun is rapidly setting right now, and my room has gotten so hot. I'm like sweating. I swear it's not from this one 5% alcohol drink. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up today's video. Thank you guys so much for submitting such great questions. I wish I had time to get to all of them. If you guys want to see a part 2 to this, let me know in the comment section down below. If you want to be involved in the next one, follow my Instagram. I'll have it linked down below if you guys are interested. And yeah, with all that being said, I will see you guys next time. Bye.